So zines back then are what Kickstarter and our iPhones are now. If you want to be a director, you want to make movies, the power is right there in your phone. Get a stabilizer and go out there with your friends and shoot a film. If you want to make a comic, just find an artist that wants to work with you and write a script and get it out there on Kickstarter and just kind of use every social media platform you can to put your voice out there. Will it work right off the bat? Probably not. You got to do it a couple times. You got to keep, like you said, let it cook. You know what I mean? See the things that don't work, but really reach out to your friends and family and tell them to be honest with you.
Listen, I had a boss back in the day. He said, if you're passionate about something, it's like throwing yourself at a brick wall. And eventually either you break or the brick wall breaks, and you decide. You decide which breaks first.
Fair warning. This show contains strong language and adult themes from time to time. Sorry, Jerry can't help it.
Sick Boy Wolfgang Productions presents The Offering with Jerry Horror. A deep dive into the history of film and its filmmakers. Mostly horror, always genre.
Today's guest, Keenan McClelland, has had his hands, his fingerprints on the DNA of horror for the last 2 decades. He's worked with Fangoria, Bloody Disgusting, Dread Central. He's done anything that you can imagine in the horror business. He's worked with celebrities. He does all these conventions. He's talked to people like Peter Weller, Pam Grier, anybody that you can imagine. He's got a fantastic podcast called Every Day is Halloween. If you dig this show, you'll dig that too. He's got a comic book coming out called Summerween. This is a fantastic chat. I was really happy to have the opportunity to have horror guy Keenan pull up and just chop it up with me. I'm so grateful and honored. I think you're going to really like this interview. So tap in, pull up, and let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, it is The Offering with me, your host, Jerry Horror. Today we've got a fantastic guest. I'm so happy to have him here. His name is Keenan McClelland from the Clan McClelland. I had a Highlander joke. I don't know why I kept calling it like Duncan MacLeod. I was very excited. But don't worry, next week is Christopher Lambert. In all seriousness, you might know this dude as AKA Horror Guy, AKA the host of Every Day is Halloween. He has a Twitch stream. He has a comic book called Summerween. He's been affiliated with every major brand. He's like the dude who wrestled for WCW, ECW. He's wrestled for all the major horror conglomerates.
They've all dealt with me.
Yeah. It's like now you're on TNA. You're like, fuck that.
I just made my own show.
You don't care. You've got it all, man. You are a critic. You're a pop culture personality. I think it would be underselling you to call you a horror influencer because my feeling is, and this is going to probably tickle some feathers, a horror influencer to me is the goth girl who has a really nice rack who's like, I went to The Conjuring and it was good. And then
how did she get invited? You know,
she got invited. Trust me.
Right? Yeah.
They didn't call old Uncle Jerry. So usually when we go through this, I deal with filmmakers, I deal with directors, actors, but this is the same kind of thing. And we're going to use another pro wrestling piece of terminology here. What brought you to the dance? Was it a movie? Was it a video game? Was it a comic book? We're talking strictly horror genre. What was it that got you into the game?
Man, I think I've told the story once or twice. Whenever I was younger, my father snuck me into Army of Darkness when I was a kid. We were going to watch this Disney live action movie. I forget even the name of it. It was just really bad. It took place in the Sahara, and I was a little white kid. I don't know. But they had a short for Roger Rabbit in the beginning. That's all I cared about. So we saw that. Then we got into the movie, and I didn't really care. And my dad's like, "You're not enjoying this?" I said, "No, let's get out." And he goes, "Hey, come across the aisle real quick." We go in, and it's the tail end of the movie where Ash is back at S Smart, and that whole thing where like the witch is back, and he just does like the flip on the cart, and he has the shotgun, and it was like the coolest like 10 minutes of the ending because you didn't need to see the rest of the movie. You just saw that part, and it was like, holy crap, this activated everything. And then Fast forward to, I knew Freddy and I knew Jason. I think Nightmare on Elm Street 2 scared the crap out of me on like HBO back when I was a kid. But it was,
Sam Raimi is a drug.
oh, it is. Yeah. Once you try it, once you get a hit, you got to try all of it. You become an addict.
Yeah, because it's even recently watching Send Help. You get those moments where it's like, oh shit, there he is. Like you see the filmmaking again, and you're like, especially the scene with the boar, and you're like, oh my god, he's back. Like,
oh yeah, even the stuff in like Spider-Man and the Oz the Great and the Powerful, like movies he has shouldn't even have anything to do with. You still see little accents of Sam Raimi Evil Dead in there. It's great.
Listen, I can't imagine. You've literally done everything. So I really didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to format this because I have so many questions.
Sure.
I think for me, you've been a moderator on so many of these panels. Was there anyone that you were intimidated by, that you were like you finally got that dude, that lady, and you were like, I don't know if I can do this?
Yeah. Because at the first and foremost, I'm a fan. I'm like you. I'm like, you know what I mean? We're just into these things. We love these movies and stuff. And when I got invited out to start, hosting Galaxy Cons, I was like, all right, put my professional boots on. We're going to go do this thing. And you fly out there and then you're behind the curtain and I'm like, all right, here's Eli Roth. And, like you're in the back and you shake his hand and you're like, oh, here it is. Here's like the fanboy in the back of my brain that's just like, holy crap, I have a billion thousand things to ask you. I can't mess this up. So that would be one. Eli Roth. I did a Thanksgiving panel with the entire cast of Thanksgiving and Eli. And, I've been a big fan of like Cabin Fever and Inglourious Bastards. And so that was pretty cool. But once I think I did that was my first show. Eli Roth was like my first interview. So or a live interview. So I think once I did that, I was like, I can do anything. So then I was just kind of requesting anybody. And like, I would get like Pam Grier, who's like a legend. And then, Peter Weller, like, you know what I mean? Like these actors that are a little bit older and they kind of are like, no nonsense. They kind of steer the conversation in their way. They've done a billion of these things. So the moderators can kind of get pushed off to the side, just kind of have to know to like when to let them do their thing. But yeah, the intimidation's there. So I would definitely probably say Eli Roth and Pam Grier and Peter Weller were probably like the three big ones for me. But every time you do them, they all are very cool and very sweet. And they all want to get back to their table as soon as possible and keep making those 8x10 sales. So, I try to make sure it's as easy as possible for them and get them back out there.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Eli Roth thing because recently watching the film Obsession, which has taken the world by storm, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm feeling cabin fever in this movie. I'm feeling somebody saw some Eli Roth movies.
Big time. Yeah.
Especially, you know what little piece of business I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, the kid that made that movie. I mean, I'd imagine because he's been talking about like how he created Obsession, and he was like, oh, like I'm a big fan of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, and it's just interesting to see how we've gotten there, where directors are like, I watched The Simpsons, like that's the monkey paw thing. That's like an old Twilight Zone storyline and Outer Limits and stuff. That's been around for ages. But the fact that he was like a kid when he saw it on the Treehouse of Horror, I was like, these kids are really coming into their own now as directors, pulling from those remakes on remakes on remakes of classic Tales from the Crypt, EC Comics story shorts.
Yeah, you didn't experience Psycho, but you experienced, a third-hand version via Ned Flanders,
Right. Yeah, I think it's great. The old angry fanboy in me is like, oh my God, these stupid kids, these influencer kids getting these jobs and these gigs, what the hell? But I'm like, honestly, like that's the future. And they're like, that's what they grew up with. That's the stuff that scared them. And now
they deserve it. More power to them.
Absolutely. And some are better than others. We can't say all of them are great. There's been a lot of trash that's been released.
Well, Hollywood will learn the wrong lesson.
Right. Easily. I mean, there's
so you've got 250K subscribers, kid.
Like, right. Yeah. There was
give us?
Fred the movie, and I'll remember all those influencer type film. Like nobody wants any of that trash. So it's cool that these guys are like really stepping their own. Like, okay, I started in comedy. Now I want to push horror, and seeing what some of them are doing great, some of them are not. And yeah, that kid did great. And they said, hey, here's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And I thought, wow, that was quick.
I wouldn't want it. Because this goes back to like your brother's old toys, or like, we took my friend's kids to see Ghostbusters Afterlife, and they fell asleep, and they were like, what is this shit? They're like, it's the Ghostbusters. They're like, who? They don't care.
No, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, and a little piece of me died inside. But at that
Yeah.
same token, I'm like, they want their own stuff. They want their Minecrafts. They want their movie moments. And
Right.
look, we've come a long way from like Fred the movie, or like, you remember Smosh, the
Yeah.
Smosh
Oh
the
yeah.
movie.
Uh-huh.
So this has happened before,
Yeah.
and it will happen again.
Absolutely. You got to let the engine do its thing. It's kind of like when you have a kid and then you're like, I'm really into horror. I'm going to show you so much horror. And then their house is covered in horror. Well, the kid's going to retaliate and they're going to do something completely different because they know that's their parents' thing. And what their parents' thing is not cool. So you got to play the old reversal and tell them they can't play or touch with any of your stuff. And then they'll want to.
Listen, I've probably told this story before because we're getting near 100 episodes, but for me, it was,
Congratulations.
yeah, it's insane. Woo. Well, that's another story. But in all reality, my father was like, we can show you 1978's Halloween. You're 5 years old. And it was playing on like terrestrial television, like Channel 5 New York.
Yeah.
And I heard the music and I hid under the coffee table. I was like, the music was enough. And then I would just poke my head out and be like, what's he doing?
Yeah. It's terrifying, man.
But that's it. It's the taboo.
Yeah.
It's that first turn on, just like you with Army of Darkness. You get that tease. You get a little bit of that rainy spice. You get it in your brain, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I saw Halloween and like I had a sleepover.
Oh, man.
You went to like Blockbuster and they rented like 8 to 10 tapes, and it just popped in Halloween. I was like, I've actually never seen this. And remember that music when it hits for the first time, it burns in you. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
something tells you like this is wrong that you're watching this. There's topless women and cursing and drugs, and you know what I mean? And like as being like a 6 to 10-year-old, you're like, I shouldn't be watching this. But
Well, that is the taboo that a lot of us, generationally speaking. Me, I'm 25, but no, generationally speaking, as some of the older folks in the listening audience, we talk about, we had to work for it. You want to see a naked lady, you got to find a magazine. You want to see, like I remember switching tapes. I pulled all kinds of shenanigans to rent movies. Like, they used to do the buy two, get one free, and I'd slip the Toxic Avenger under there.
Oh,
Like,
good
yeah.
idea. Yeah, man. Get
I
one
was-
over on.
I was
They know.
bad.
They're like, whatever, man. Let the kid have fun. Like,
Listen, it's one of these things where we live in a world where you have access to everything.
Right.
Faces of Death is not just some poster that you see on a video store wall, or you see the tape. Now, look it up on your phone. You just stream it. Like, oh, this is Faces
Right.
of Death.
it blows my mind that was like a thing that like, yeah, like I think it hit me whenever like I saw that movie coming out, Faces of Death, where like, oh, kids can just like look this up and watch it. Whereas before it was like, I have a copy of Faces of Death. And it's like, do you want to come over and watch it? And you're like, oh my God, I don't know, man. And then you weren't sure if it was real or if it was fake. Now you can just Google it was this real monkey brains. No, okay. Like, it takes a lot of that fun out of it.
Listen, and the thing is, they just did the adaptation, and I like that Australian actor from Stranger Things, and it's Dacre Montgomery.
Yeah.
I heard he was great. I haven't seen it. Can we agree there are too many movies right now?
There are. It's really hard to be a horror reviewer right now because I feel like I'm doing a disservice because I have a TikTok as well that like once the movie comes out, I leave the theater and I talk about it, like real quick 2-minute review just to get that feeling out, And when a movie comes out, I'm like, oh, I got to review that one. And also like 2 more come out. I'm like, oh, I got to go review all 3 of those. And then I feel like I'm letting my community down then it's like, no, it's the machine's constantly going to move because like you said, there's too much out. There's streaming. There's like 12 different streaming services. There's theaters. It can be a lot. So sometimes I feel like it's best just to kind of let it happen. The ones you really want to see, you'll definitely make time for. And things like the Faces of Death live action movie or whatever, you'll get to it,
Listen, and this is no shade towards anybody. I promise. I'll get to the Faces of Death. It's funny too because it feels like I just saw He-Man. I loved He-Man. I thought it was great.
I love that.
I thought it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Eternia immediately because of the hellscape that is 2026. But aside, I'd rather go fight Skeletor. That's kind of where I'm fucking at now, people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that being said, it's like the Faces of Death movie, is this 30 years too late? Is He-Man 30 years too late? Because the trend is like, there's still, there's still like today they're like, we got the 24 Jump Street. And I love those movies. I think those movies are hysterical.
Yeah.
They're like, we just got one of the dudes to write the new Transformer spec script. And I'm like, I don't know. Are you guys like, are we reading the room? Like,
right.
This shit ain't what's popping.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It was kind of like that thing where weren't they going to do 21 Jump Street, but in Men in Black? Like for a while that was being talked about. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. You're kind of mending the two. And maybe it was best that it didn't happen. But you could see them like trying to like struggle, like, okay, we have to keep this relevant. How do we keep this relevant? Well, let's mend it with this other franchise. But like you said with Motu, I feel like honestly, should we have had that movie 10 years ago? Probably, but would have been as good as it would have. Probably would have pushed out a straight to streaming service sequel that didn't do as well. And I think this one's for the fans. There's a little bit of everything in there for your classic Motu stuff, your action figure people, your Mimi, they like the memes of a He-Man and stuff like that. So they kind of threw like everything in there for you. And I think that's kind of the best cause for that. I think Star Wars, I'm not to get into another genre of stuff, but yeah. Star Wars is struggling with that right now because like Star Wars has been around since the 70s and everybody loves the trilogy. And then, yeah, you had the kids that grew up with episodes 1 through 3. And then they brought those back saying, no, I love these movies. And then you had the Mandalorian era, but you could see the Mandalorian era struggling when they're kind of like really Disneyfying things. And they're like, we can't let Star Wars die. Star Wars is too big of a moneymaker for Disney to let it die. So you're seeing a really big struggle. And I think when you see something like Obsession come out that comes on a shoestring budget, blows a Star Wars movie out of the theaters, that says something. You know what I mean? They really got to put Star Wars back in the pot and let it boil a little bit.
Well, it goes back to Taxi Driver with Martin Scorsese, late 70s, Star Wars, Jaws. And the studios are like, fucking kids are not seeing these musicals. Kids don't want to see cowboy movies. We are fucked. We're losing money by the minute. You know, the Popeye adaptation didn't go as good as they thought it would. Yeah. So you come to that conclusion where it's like, all right, kid, here's $2 million. Go fucking make me a movie. Just bring me back something that I can sell to children.
Yeah. And I think we're about to hit a big boom because I think it started with like, was it Five Nights at Freddy's? And then you had like the Minecraft movie, then the sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's. Now this kid from Obsession, and wasn't there another like young? Shelby Oaks, that guy Struckman. You know, he had his movie. So they are really kind of like looking at like, but if you think about it, they're kind of like the young movie makers, like Spielberg. I think he was maybe in his late teens, early 20s when he made Duel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what did they have? They had, film school. They had this kid's right out of film school. Well, film school now is just YouTube.
And it's crazy because if you said to somebody, just go watch Duel, and it's a film class. It'll show you like shot composition. It'll teach you like how to storyboard. It's crazy. It's so textbook, and you know, it's always like, what are you influenced by? And you can see, like, even we talked about like the whole Simpsons thing. These kids are drawing on their own influences. They have their own culture. They have ways that they move that we don't move. And that's totally cool.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, though, it's very annoying being in the theater with a lot of teenagers seeing a horror movie.
Fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids. Yeah, it's that thing where like kids have to make a joke because they don't know how to sit there you know, that whole thing with Netflix right now where they're telling writers like, hey, keep writing what's going on in the movie because people don't actually watch the movie. They're like doing 3 other things. So you have to keep retelling what's happening in the movie over and over, which kind of ruins a script. So kids are doing like 3 other things while they're watching a movie. And then when you watch a movie like Backrooms, where it's kind of silent and there's like, you know, very pivotal moments of, you know, they talk about domestic abuse and things like that. Well, these teenagers don't know how to like deal with that, so they make like a fart joke just to make the people on the line laugh and stuff. And it was just like, I don't know, but it was a theater full, like an IMAX theater full of kids, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like this is making me want to stay away from the theaters, and I think that's kind of a problem. That we're getting kids in theaters. Great.
Uncle Jerry had to go see Obsession 3 weeks after it came out. Because I can't. And what's crazy is my friend and I were probably more disruptive as 40-year-olds than the kids were all well behaved, and we're just like, it's fucking monkey's paw. It's
Right, exactly.
fuck, it is. It is a monkey's paw situation.
Right? Not gonna turn out well for this guy.
Yeah. Like this is a mom yelling at the screen. I've literally, I've turned into, what is it? Regina Harris? I can't think of the
Oh
actress.
yeah, from Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've,
yeah.
I've literally turned into that character where I'm like, you wanted this.
Right.
You wanted Nikki to love you. So I'm worse than the kids sometimes.
Yeah.
And look, I totally get it, but everything is just so homogenized that we now have to give these kids a voice.
Sure.
Because now it's like, the magical well of IP is suddenly, it's like, it's even this, it's kind of like folklore. And it's like they went to the magic well too many times and then the magic well was dry.
Right.
The giving tree, Shel Silverstein, right?
Yeah. It is wilted at this point. Yeah, no, like you said, it's going to pop eventually. They're going to give too many influencers projects and it's going to get bad.
Yeah, it's fine. I think what's cool though is we've got a lot of different genre stuff. We just had the Furious come out. It's action martial arts film. You do have your He-Man, you've got your Backrooms, you've got Disclosure Day. And look, I'm a huge Spielberg head. I like Close Encounters is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, Spielberg's got a movie coming out next week, telling my 22-year-old coworkers. Really? Yeah, it's called Disclosure Day. Really? And it's about aliens. What? And I'm like, what is because now like kids, like 14, 15-year-old kids, they tell me the way that they learn about movies is on TikTok, which is why we started even with the offering. We do these bite-sized offerings because it's like, here's some fun, wacky facts about this movie. Maybe you'll go watch it. Hopefully you'll go see the movie and not just me. So we're trying to lure the kids in with the candy, please go watch these movies.
I saw something today was because now they're trying to do the promotional side of things for that movie. And it was Spielberg and he was talking to like a poster artist. I'm sure it was like some like fan poster artist online that people like. And Spielberg is sending him like a personal video like, hey, like we really love the posters that you do. And I want to invite you out to the premiere of the movie. And this influencer's like, what the hell? He's probably been doing nothing but Spielberg posters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's crazy to me to see that Spielberg is like, the studio's like, hey, we need you to talk to like these 64 different influencers and send them personal videos. That is our marketing, because that's what's going to then spread to thousands and thousands of trailers, rather than them having to, put trailers out on top of videos and things like that.
I will ostensibly say, and this is not a hot take, that film criticism is largely dead.
Sure,
you could say the same for video game criticism right now. It's the same kind of token. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool worshiper of Roger Ebert, even when I don't agree with him, even when I totally agree with him. And what it is like when I was growing up, my friends and I, we learned how to make films. So we learned about film theory. You had to, it's like I tell kids, even lifting weights at the gym, we had to open a book and look at the book and see what it said. So it's like you have to have a concept of how the machinations of these things work in order to give a justified opinion, an opinion that is worthy of cinema. With that being said, they invite 64 influencers to the red carpet of Disclosure Day, and it's it's pretty bitchin', bet.
Right. Yeah. And that was the review.
That's it.
Thousands of likes.
How's that for your tagline? Pretty bitchin', bet.
Right. Yeah. Variety.
That's what you're getting. Hey, real quick. I got a million questions for you, but I'm scatterbrained. I have squirrel brain. So I'm just gonna keep going. When I was a kid, I was growing up in the 90s, and I read all the Marvel stuff, read all the DC stuff, but I was really into the indie comics. Even just scratching the surface with Dark Horse, and then Peter Bagg, Hate and stuff like that.
Yeah, great one.
I got into a lot of the stranger, more independent. The shit was so shittily printed that the ink would come off on your hands when you, it was so New England Comics, the original run of The Tick, stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
So now you're doing Summerween. First, tell our audience what this is all about and what exactly led you down this path.
Our buddy Pete.
Wow.
Yeah, he was he got a comic out for Deathgasm, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world that my buddy Pete could put out a book with a big director. And I thought that, because he's been doing this thing called the Gooligans for quite a while. And they've done every iteration from black and white to holiday to shopping around to conventions. And I had him on the Bloody Disgusting podcast at one point with all the other guys from the Slack Pack. And they were the coolest guys. And then I saw Pete was doing that. And I was like, man, I want to tell horror stories. And I think that was the thing too, where I worked for Bloody Disgusting. I've worked for just all of them, Fangoria and all these other outlets and stuff. And I've been reporting on everybody else's stuff, all their projects, their things. And I was like, I think it's time to tell some horror. Like, I've had enough horror movies gone through these two eye sockets that I could probably put out a pretty cool horror story. So I decided that, it's time to kind of just start doing my own kind of a Tales from the Crypt thing. And AI started coming out really heavily for artists. It was killing all these artists. I was like, people are just kind of putting slop out there, and it really bummed me out. And I said, you know what? I love the fact that comic books kind of still keep that, like, hey, this is one artist, this is one writer. Maybe there's an editor or an editor when you start getting into like the Marvel DC stuff. But really, when it comes down to it with Kickstarter these days, it's just it's one writer and one artist, and you're working together. And what I want to do is, I love the EC Comics thing where you have, or like Trick or Treat or Creep Show, where you have three different stories. Well, that means now I can have three different artists on this one comic. You know what I mean? I can help out more artists that are actually doing art, than just kind of focusing on one and make one get so sick of me that he doesn't want to work with me anymore. So yeah, I decided that, all right, it's time to do a comic, start reaching out to these artists. I do these comic book conventions anyways. I work in a comic shop. I'm having all these contacts. It would be silly not to utilize that. So I decided, I love the idea of Summerween. I have this podcast called the Every Day is Halloween podcast, where I celebrate Halloween 365 days a year. And then the term Summerween kept kicking around and stuff. And I just thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you had these little EC comic tales that just take place in the summer, but it still has like accents of Halloween and stuff. So that's where the idea came from.
It's crazy because the real heads, who are like people who are haunters, people who are just into it, like we start, like, I would say July. I mean, for people like me and you, it's more of a lifestyle, like
sure.
I'm looking for dish towels and bath soaps. I'm like, there's a werewolf bath soap. I'm like, oh God.
Right. But, yeah. That's my everyday soap now.
Exactly. This is what we use every day, is the werewolf soap.
Yeah.
But for a lot of us, it starts like we start getting a little crazy, because I think that a lot of Halloween kids, monster kids, were largely like playing with toys inside, playing video games, reading comic books, watching VHS or whatever, what have you. And that's like, even me and producer Pete, like, we're definitely like indoor kids. We grew up a certain way with our imagination and watching a lot of television. Mm-hmm. And one thing I love, though, about comic books, I love a good fucking indie comic book, because like sometimes the art is janky. Yeah. And you'll spot, like, sometimes there's a spelling error or something, and it just makes it feel more real. Like everything is like, growing up with Image or Marvel, everything seemed so polished. Maybe not Image as much, but
oh sure, yeah. Well, that's why it was great when you saw Marvel actually like adapt. Like, hey, we're gonna have Sam Keith come on here, the guy that's doing the Max, and we're gonna have him do Wolverine. And you're like, oh, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. I want to see that raw, edgy ink splat to the art. Simon Bisley, like Leatherface versus Jason. I'll never get this movie, but I got it here in a comic book.
Well, the other thing too is, like, because you're doing the anthology thing, you can kind of use them as pilots. I hate to say it, where it's like, we did Sausage Man, and fucking it's Sausage Man. People love this guy, and it's like, fuck it, we're gonna do a Sausage Man comic book. And that's the cool thing about it. It's comic books in general are a lost art, because you can flex your imagination in ways that like people could never imagine.
Oh yeah.
Today I was reading, you're gonna laugh at this. I was reading like the Marvel 9/11 special.
Oh yeah, yeah.
and, and there's this whole thing where Doctor Doom is crying, and he's like, what kind of monsters would do this? And I'm just like, Doctor Doom, you've killed whole realities. Like, you don't give a shit.
Exactly. And that's why they're like, but that's why this was so heinous. Because look, Doctor Doom's crying. You're like, I don't know how I feel about this.
For some reason, I was like, you know what? Maybe we don't need Doctor Doom to chime in on 9/11.
Yeah, I get Spider-Man being bummed about it. Doctor Doom,
because that's what happens. And you know, I've reached this age where it's like, there's no more grails. Don't show me anything about lost media. Like it's nothing is hidden. Like maybe there's a couple of grails. London After Midnight, we're never going to see that. And
right.
That's partially that's why I got the tattoo. I'm like, well, it's funny. It was at the doctor's office today, and this kid's like, I love the London After Midnight. And I was like,
what?
Yeah. I'm like, you're the first fucking person in 20 years who guessed that, who didn't think it was Dan DeVito's Penguin. I was ready to kiss this little kid, and he had black nail polish on. And I'm like, you're one of us, motherfucker. I'm like, I know man. You are. Yeah. You got it.
Well, that just shows you that they're like, they're diving down the rabbit hole. It's like, hey, did you know there was almost a Universal horror movie that came out that's not going to be seen ever again? You're like, wait, what is this? And this day, that's the one thing I would love to see, that thing be unearthed. Like, hey, we found a copy and we're cleaning it up. I would lose my mind.
You're a theme park guy, right? You like rides.
Yeah. I used to work at Universal in Orlando in entertainment for 11 years.
Get out of town, man.
I helped build all the Halloween Horror Night houses.
Oh my God.
I got stories, man.
I was reading today about Islands of Adventure, and like they only had so much money, and they're like, again, we talk about like the things that never transpired, and one of them was like, it was so close to happening. It was like the Green Goblin's House of Mystery, which was going to be like a dark ride, and there were conceptual things. Like there was it was not far along, but there was a conceptual piece that was drawn by a bunch of famous artists. And I was like, my eyeballs literally just fell out of my head, because I go down the rabbit hole. It's like, of course, I'm looking at the 9/11 Marvel special, and I'm looking at the Green Goblin house that was never made.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And that's, real quick, can I get a review of the Dark Universe? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Not the Curse of the Werewolf. What is the Dark Universe? The big ride,
Oh, Monsters Unchained.
Okay. And what did you think?
Oh my God. It is literally every horror kid's dream. You're entering Frankenstein's castle, and the queue line is literally like paintings of Dr. Frankenstein, and you see like concepts inside. And once you go inside, you literally meet every single Universal monster through these big animatronics. I don't know if you ever rode the Harry Potter ride in the castle. But it's the same technology where the
Kuka arm.
Yes, it's on the Kuka arm, and then you kind of go up. So you're getting turned up, and you go underneath the bell where like the Hunchback is, underneath inside the bell. You dip down where the water is and the creature's there, and there's vampire hunters hunting after Dracula, and the Wolfman's chasing you, and you just like, it's literally like sensory overload for a horror fan. Like when you're riding this ride, the best part was when I rode this ride, I guess it was at the end of the night. So they were just like, you want to ride it again? Me and my fiance were like, yes. And we did it again. And they go, you want to ride it again? It's like we rode it 3 times in a row. But the 4th time I was like, okay, I'm getting a little nauseous. I want to get off this ride. But 3 times in a row to see those characters just all coming to life and just chasing you. And you're just like, because you think at one point you just be desensitized, right? I've seen enough Dracula and Frankenstein in my life that I'm kind of over it. I mean, I have them all tattooed on my arm, so I'm never going to be over it. But when you go to like a ride like that, you're just like, I'm still there. I'm still a 7-year-old watching these classic movies,
How could you not be? Yeah. I ponder about many, many strange things. And I was like, I wonder how many people got proposed to on the Haunted Mansion. And then I started thinking, I'm like, now I'm starting to think, how many people have already gotten proposed to at the Dark Universe? I'm like, because that's definitely happened already, right?
Yeah. And how many people have taken their loved ones' ashes and spread them in a Haunted Mansion, which apparently is a thing.
Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah, they have to tell people like you can't do that. You have to knock that off. Like,
Yeah, I thought about doing it with my mom's ashes, like right where the flowers are in Disney. She was a big Disney fan.
yeah,
And I was just like, no. I'm like, because you run this risk with the Disney Mafia or whatever they're called.
yeah.
That's what the Disney Yakuza. And
Hmm.
they basically, they ban you for life. You're like, don't come to the one
Facts.
in Paris, don't come to the one in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, I'm not risking it.
No, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, do you want to risk all of that? I actually had something like that happen where I was working for Universal, but I was also reviewing for Bloody Disgusting, and they would have me come out and do Halloween Horror Night coverage. So they'd have me at the press night and stuff. And because I had been let go the first time from Universal, and I had been still doing HHN press night, they had to escort me out of the property. So like, imagine like you're getting ready to do like you're having like hors d'oeuvres and stuff with all these like fancy like people that are all in the industry and then all these like influencers. And my old boss comes over and grabs me by the arm and is like, come here real quick. And takes me out back and goes, you're not allowed to be here. And they take you around back with a security guard and ask you off property. I was so mortified. I was like, don't kick me out of Universal. And it was just for like that, I think for that event and stuff. And they're usually fine with me now and stuff, but it's scary. My buddy Adam the Woo, I don't know if you're familiar with
Oh
him.
yeah, rest in peace, man. Holy
Rest in
shit,
peace,
it's
man.
tragedy.
He was the real one, man. He was going in the backs of Walt Disney World and like the parks and water parks that weren't open in that yet. And Universal actually came up and banned him from Universal Orlando while inviting him to the opening of Jimmy Fallon's ride. So they said, "Hey man, come on out to this Jimmy Fallon ride. We'd love to have you." And he's like, "Oh, great! I'll do a piece on it and everything." And because he went to a friend of mine's a private event, and they said, "Hey man, do you want to go check out Old Nickelodeon? It's right next to
Oh
where
my
this event's
God.
happening." So he's like, "Absolutely." And so he got video of like all the old Nickelodeon rooms and upstairs and got everything. So when he released the video, of course, Nickelodeon or Universal caught on to it. And they said, all right, well, he wants to come to this Jimmy Fallon thing. We'll invite him. And then he came out and was having a great time. And right after the thing, they said, hey, man, you can't ever come back to Universal Orlando. And I know it messed him up for a while because Orlando is like his dream. He loved doing videos at Universal. He loved doing at Disney. He would go back to California and do the same thing over there. So it made him go like, screw Orlando. I'm just moving out to California. And he would be back and forth every now and then. But to the day he died, he was never allowed back at Universal. And I think Universal's somewhat kicking themselves for
Oh
disservicing
yeah,
somebody like
they
that,
shot themselves in the foot, and
big
I
time.
could. It's crazy because I think Bright Sun Films just did when he's not doing his extravagant yacht tours where he gets to
Hmm.
go on yachts for 2 weeks. They just did like all the kind of the stolen Disney stuff, like stolen footage, people who steal props. He just did a
Yeah,
documentary. I heard
I
it's
saw
okay.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, did they
Um,
mention Adam at all in that?
that's a good question. My brother saw it the other night. They were showing it somewhere in Queens.
Yeah.
The reality with Adam the Woo, though, is my father is a 75-year-old man,
Hmm.
and he calls me and he's just like, my favorite vlogger died. I don't think he knows that like vlogger is a thing.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, Adam, my father was really upset because he had been watching him for all these years.
Yeah.
And it was, you start to then realize how, you don't expect your dad to like be secretly watching Adam the Woo's videos. And it's like,
Sure.
it really, like my dad was crying. He was really upset when he passed away. And I was
Hmm.
just like, fuck. And I think it's like, he's not that much older than you. So I think that was the thing that he would watch him and it was like, oh, this could be my son. Like,
Right. Yeah. He kind of sees a little bit of what he's doing, what you're doing. So he's like, oh, like if you can get it up, keep it going, man. That's awesome. Like there's not too many people that I feel like a lot of people don't follow a lot of people. Like you might follow them,
yeah,
but like for me, like I don't watch a lot of reviewer stuff except for Red Letter Media. I
yeah.
love those guys. They crack me up. And I think the way they do their reviews is so smart and so spot on. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, look how many people watch them. Look how many people watched Adam. I mean, there's so many vloggers out there, but Adam really had that like that connection with people.
Listen, my life is better because Rich Evans is in it.
At 1,010%.
And that's it. Like there's the Red Letter Media guys, I think again, it's cut from the same cloth. They're guys that they they want to be filmmakers. They've tried to be filmmakers.
Yeah.
And they said, you know what, we're qualified. And it's funny because now I watch them, I watch Mike and when they do the reviews, like half in the bag. And I'm like, that's this generation's Siskel and Ebert. Like
1,000,000%.
Like, what did they think of it? And it's, it's like, I almost have to use the cool points. I'm like, to tell my little brother, like, well, Mike and Rich. Yeah. And they all liked Masters of the Universe. Cause he's like, I'm not seeing that bullshit. And I'm like,
right. You're like, well, Mike and Rich liked it.
Like Mike and Rich was pretty good.
Yeah, I'll see them releasing a video, like they're doing like, oh, they did a Backrooms one. I'm like, okay, I want to watch their video, so I will go to the theater to watch Backrooms first, just so I can come back and then watch their review of it.
I do the same exact thing. This was kind of mental. So Mando and Grogu, which I enjoyed. Awesome. I like the puppets. I like when there's that whole bridge of silent stuff. I like Phil Tippett's stop motion stuff. I thought that was awesome. I had a blast with it.
I haven't seen it yet, so I'm very excited to watch it.
Listen, if the Force Ghost of Jim Henson exists, he would put a smile on his face. He would definitely be like, I approve, like, because you see like Dark Crystal, you see these things in this
Favreau's
movie.
love letter, right? To Star, like what made Star Wars.
Exactly. And I'm a creature guy, so for me, I loved it. The Favs, John Favreau did an audio commentary that he wants you to bring your phone and your AirPods into the theater, and now you can watch. This is like the weirdest thing I've seen a Hollywood studio do, especially the size of Disney, where they're saying, yeah, bring your phone in, bring the AirPods in, and just as soon as the screen comes on, press play. And I'm like,
interesting. Live commentary.
Exactly. You're getting that commentary in theaters. And I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen that done. And I'm starting to wonder if smaller creators, you got guys like, I like We Hate Movies. I think those guys are great.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I'm like, would they be able to do this? It's like we've seen, when they do the events, like what do they call it? Like the silent disco, where like everybody has earphones on. So you go see a movie and it's like the silent movie where you're listening to these dudes riff on it. I guess that's what Riff Tracks is when people see them live.
Right. But it's such a movie nerd niche thing to be like, well, I saw Mandalorian, but I saw the Mandalorian commentary. But then you're the first to know what Favreau's thoughts were in this scene. So now you have something more one up than the people that that have already seen Mandalorian. So I feel like it's a good way to get that second ticket price,
There is some dude tonight. There's a very lonely man in a very empty theater while all the kids are watching their Backrooms. And he's sitting there and he's like, I've got no signal. I should have downloaded it before I got in.
Yeah. Where do you get it? I guess YouTube.
I saw the advertisement for it.
Yeah.
Obviously I should be that sad, lonely man.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, actually, we just made this for one fucking guy because he saw it and he liked it. So we got to see if we can get him again. Like we're that desperate where it's like the pandering has never been harder. Listen, so people say, I want to do what you do, but like you've kind of had this incredible life and this incredible saga of events. Like I've kind of put it together by doing some research about you online. And it's like, there's nobody like you, which is really cool. Like there's people who do, they do buffet style things that you do, but nobody has really done all the things that Keenan's done. So like, I want to salute you for that. That shit is crazy. Because like I said, in the beginning of the episode, you've got your finger in so many different pies, you're trying to keep the dam from exploding.
Yeah.
Like, so, like just really off the rip, what have you been streaming lately on Twitch? Like game wise?
So, so I've been doing, I always try to come back to Dead by Daylight because I feel like that's the ultimate horror. Like they've always been trying to keep it going no matter what. And I'm not bad at the game. I like playing a slasher and just going around killing 4 kids over and over. And it's always fun. Do. Yeah, it's fun to have commentary, you know what I mean? Like, and people just are laughing, having a good time. So I always go back to that one as like my fallback. The last Resident Evil, I still haven't beaten it yet, but I'm having a really good time. Just every time a Resident Evil or a Silent Hill comes out, I go, let's go. or streaming it. It's the horror game right now. You have to do it. Back when I was doing stuff with Bloody, I was really tied with Dread XP and a lot of the indie horror people that were just making these games and just saying like, "Hey, we just created this little thing in our, 4 developers. It's a little horror game. Will you review it?" And those were a lot of fun because there's no reviews before you, and there's nobody that's played these games before you, and you're kind of just being put into a world where somebody's like, "All right, have fun." And
Yeah.
it's kind of terrifying to like, all right, you're a first person going through this thing. And sometimes there's glitches, sometimes there's not. But it was crazy to see the stuff that was happening. There's this game called Dreams for the
Okay.
PlayStation 4, and it was basically like a game maker. Like, hey,
Yes.
here's a bunch of
Yes.
stuff, make whatever comes to your mind. And I think that game was so ahead of its time when it came out. And the stuff that people were making in this game were so cool. Like, I guess when PT got taken down, the player tests, Silent Hills player tests that Kojima was making. And then whenever they realized he was spending too much money, Konami fired Kojima from
Yeah.
and they said no more Silent Hills. And it was sad because Silent Hills is going to be a game that was art design by Guillermo del Toro, Junji Ito, starring Norman Reedus, Kojima. Like it was like all of the best horror minds
It's the dream
together.
team.
Oh my God, I was so excited. So when I heard it was canceled, I was just like, screw Konami. Well, then people were like, I read all the narratives and everything I can for PT. I made it in Dreams. And then you could just play
Wow.
what they made. And it was like, yeah, sure, it probably wasn't up to snuff, but it was just enough, you know? And I was like, this is so cool that people can now just make their games. And I think that's the coolest thing is just like the little indie games. I played one that was like a VHS store. And as you're like checking in tapes, and there was like kind of funny ones and stuff, there's like a killer outside, and
Yeah.
you'll know if they've
Yes.
made their way
Yes. I know.
inside.
Yeah.
Ah, I love that. What was that? A mortuary assistant? You know what I mean? Like,
Listen, it's incredible, and I think we have to say it. Like, how influential was PT?
huge.
Because think about like Backrooms,
Right.
like Escape the Backrooms, the video game. Like, just think
Yeah.
about like
Going through the same thing over and over, but things are slightly different every time you go through them. And yeah.
it's it. I think PT is wild for a demo that I have kept hard locked onto it. It's still hard locked on my PS4.
Yes.
Uh,
Hold on to the
I-
thing forever, man.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that was the disappointment because I was there with you. I was like, oh my God. And then after that is, I feel like Konami just fell off. Like, it's like they're making pachinko machines. The Metal Gear game they made sucked. Like
Yeah. I
everything
played the
was
new
just,
Silent Hill and it was like, it's fine, but it's just not Silent Hill. You know what I
no.
mean? Yeah.
And the other thing too is with this recent Return to Silent Hill movie,
Yeah.
I don't think Silent Hill translates to a movie.
Right.
Sometimes, and that's the funny thing about like Exit 8, also a video game, or
Hmm.
Backrooms, where it's a vibe. It's an
Yeah.
absolute vibe. There is something tangible. There is a physical texture to it. But I watched that Return to Silent Hill and I was just like, Jesus Christ, like this just, I'm like, Fog does not work as a movie. Can we all just,
Right.
like,
Yeah. I was working for Bloody Disgusting whenever I found out that they were releasing us Return to Silent Hill. And I was like, are you kidding me? We're doing a new Silent Hill. This is amazing. And everyone's like, yeah. And I was like, uh-oh. Why are we not really excited about releasing a Silent Hill movie? And then I didn't even seen it. I know it came out, but I just saw how pandered it was. And I heard what, who Harry was in this movie
yeah.
and like saw clips of what he was doing. I'm like, this isn't the character. Like they literally just didn't care about the source material before it. And it's kind of like that thing with Resident Evil right now, where you have the new Resident Evil. Um, what's his name? Is it Osgood? Not Osgood Perkins. Who's making the new Resident Evil?
Oh, Zach Kreger.
Zach Kreger, where he's like, I'm just doing anything but zombies. And everyone's like, oh, so you're not doing Resident Evil in your Resident Evil movie. But what I think he's doing is he's doing all the weird giant monster weird shit from Resident Evil that
I
never
like
gets
that better.
played with.
I
Right.
like that better.
And of course, like your main character like has to do these like, find 3 keys to open up this like owl clock. And it's like that's the stuff that you do most in Resident Evil, honestly. So like if anything, this might be more Resident Evil than what people are really giving it credit for. And I think that's what Silent Hill needed to do for its film adaptations and just, hey, here's Pyramid Head again, because he says Silent Hill.
I listen. We came out of the fan event of the Masters screening,
Mhm.
and there was some really fat, dreadful looking man, and he gets up like he's gonna fucking run for office or something, gets up and he's like, you know, and just starts going off. And I was like, shut up. I'm like, you shut up. I'm like, because I'm coming off this huge high. I've got the power of Grayskull in me. And I said, He-Man is a stupid thing from 50 years ago, and you better be thankful these people made it for you. He's like, I guess you're right. I'm like, that's right.
You stood up for He-Man. I love it.
Like, I had to, because I was just like, you're going to bitch about it. And the whole thing is like, Zach Kreger must throw himself on the Capcom cross so that others can run. And it's
absolutely.
You know, and with Resident Evil, there's a lot to play with. I always mess up his name, not as bad as everybody else did, like Jay and Mike did on Red Letter Media, but I think it's Curry Barker, or is it Curry Baker? Curry Barker.
Curry Barker, yeah.
And, you know, you're throwing him Texas. I'm not into it. You know what I did like, though, and I was a big champion of, I liked that Silent Night, Deadly Night remake a lot. I really enjoyed the shit out of it.
Now, this is the latest one that came out.
Yes, the dude who directed the Hard Cider Jason commercial.
Yeah, which that wasn't good.
That was not good. That was not good.
Finally, new Jason content. I'm like, this is just one long Hard Cider commercial with like accents of Jason. But I didn't know that was the same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy. And I'm waiting for the triumphant return to the silver screen. And again, like, God bless, you know, they signed over like, we'll call it the life rights to Jason, to like that company who just, they market. That's why he's in Dead by Daylight. That's why there's Funko Pops. We just keep the IP churning and in the ecosystem. I just pray to God, like, by the time we do get a new Friday the 13th movie, which I want, I'm almost cautiously optimistic, because I'm like, is this really going to be what I want? Or is this going to be what this IP company, you know, that manages and says, well, brand management tells us that they don't like boobs anymore. So there will be no boobs in this movie.
Yeah. It's like, well, that's the ground that thing walked on. Like, you have to have that. You have to have illegal weed smoking. I mean, even though marijuana is legal now, so it's kind of whatever. But I kind of like they worked that into the last remake, that Jason has a weed farm, you know, so it brought the kids out to the, so it's like, I like that, like when they play with things like that, like, well, here's the generation. For instance, I actually really enjoyed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix, because there was actually a massacre.
It was good.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? They killed a bunch of influencers on a bus, and I fucking was cracking up. And I was like, if this movie ends with these two people just driving off into the sunset, I'd be so pissed. And the way that movie ended, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's how this movie should end. You know what I mean?
I liked it. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And for a movie that was shot in Bulgaria, nowhere near Texas. Listen, Keenan, those tax credits, and we got to.
It must be great.
Yeah, when it's time for us to make our film, we got to go over to Bulgaria and talk to those people.
Absolutely.
Because they let Stallone blow up half of Bulgaria, you know, those Expendables movies.
Didn't they let Rob Zombie build all of 1313 Mockingbird Lane in the neighborhood in Bulgaria? And it was like, they built the whole neighborhood? Jesus
Rob
Christ.
Zombie, you do what you want, Rob Zombie. You make whatever your passion is. I mean, look, they seem cool, man. We need to get in bed with these guys.
Yeah. It's just I hope that they don't pander to what they think horror fans want now, because it's a 23-year-old kid just being like, this is what these old 80s guys want. And it's like the last thing what we want. You know what I mean?
No. Like, I want you to do your thing, kid. I want you to Jordan Peele it. I want you to, because I love Nope. Some people shit on Nope, and I love Nope.
He had a spaceship that was a grinder of human beings and poured blood all over a house in the middle of the night in a storm. How do you not like that?
And it's a love letter to filmmaking. It's a love letter to making movies, the spirit of filmmaking. That's the whole thing, is like, I get it. Like, you know, it's cool that this kid gets this opportunity. And I think, you know, Kreger is a little more wise, because, you know, all the stuff he did with the whitest kids, you know, like he's a little bit more of an OG. He kind of knows like how to play his hand. But with these young cats, just do your own thing, man. Like, fucking, it's like Read the Room. Like, they announced, you know, what is it? Is it Lionsgate? I don't know. I don't give a shit. They're like, we're going to do Escape from New York. And I'm like, that is the dumbest shit I have ever heard.
Yeah. With Zack Snyder.
Yeah. And I'm just like, no, don't do it.
If there's no Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell, I don't want it.
No,
like, it's like recasting RoboCop.
I don't
Everybody
want
went,
Wyatt
I
Russell
don't
either.
want
Get
that.
him out of here.
Right, exactly. It's cute that that's his son, but you
Yeah,
know.
like I watched The Legacy of Monsters. Like I'm a big fan of the Monsterverse. Those are like
Yeah,
my Disney movies.
sure.
Those are like my guilty pleasure. And I don't
Uh-huh.
believe in them, but I go there, I get my big popcorn, I watch in 3D, and I'm like, oh boy, it's the monsters.
Right. Oh yeah.
Big dumb fat kid at the movies again. I'm
Right.
like
You can
so
spoon feed
excited.
me it. It's fine. I get it. Yeah.
It- I mean, I think like what the dude, what homie, I can't even pronounce his name, did with like Godzilla -1, and now we're getting Godzilla -0, and
Yeah.
he's going even bigger and bringing Godzilla to New York, and I'm just like, this guy's got the right fucking idea, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. It's fun.
It,
It's interesting how that whole thing worked where they're like, well, this is the Japanese one, and you all have your Legendary Pictures one, and then that they brought that over here and it blew up the theaters and like, well, okay, we're gonna do both. We're gonna keep bringing the Japanese one over here, and you get your Legendary Picture
to the
Apple Plus
effect
show.
where I went to my local cinema and I wanted to say I was reading the paper, I'm reading the app, and I'm like, they're showing it in black and white, but it's sold out. I'm like,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
like, it's sold out.
That's
And that
crazy.
movie affected me. Like I cried during that movie and I
Yeah.
got out of that movie. I had a very profound experience. And we can sell these things as creature features. We can sell the rubbery monsters. You can do whatever you want. You can make One Wish Willow.
Yeah.
But if you can make people feel something genuinely,
Huge.
whether it's comic books, whether it's commentary, I think that's the name of the game, is leaving people with some kind of tangible experience.
Yes. Yeah.
You
So
know?
because there's so much content, like you said earlier in the show, that's like hard to kind of watch everything. So when you do watch something, you want to take that little bit away from you that says like, hey, I remember that movie. I remember that thing. But if it just becomes disposable content over and over and over, then it starts getting stale and you're like, do I even like horror anymore? You know what I mean? And you never want to have that feeling.
Well, that's what it is, and it's you've got people with they've all got their holy grails. They've all got the things. Please don't touch, don't mess with, and it's like there's a bit of sorcery. There's a bit of sorcery that happens during Reagan's second presidency, and the kind of unknown commodity of Robert Englund and Wes
Mhm.
Craven going through a terrible divorce and not having any money to make this movie, and
Right.
it's lightning in a bottle. Ghostbusters,
Yes.
lightning, Back to the Future, Star Wars. It's
Yeah.
lightning in a bottle, and I can't say that enough with horror. As much
Yeah.
as I've enjoyed the Texas Chainsaw sequels, that first movie it's magic, and it's
Yes.
like every time you go back to that well, man, it's just like, I don't know, do I want a new Nightmare on Elm Street? My
Right.
pitch was simple. My pitch was, well, we ain't getting this guy in the makeup. Let's get him behind a microphone and let's do a 6-part animated show for HBO.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right.
Do a game. Do a fucking game with Robert Englund. I'll buy it. I'll
Yeah.
right now take my fucking money.
Oh, easily. Everybody would. And it's the thing, Robert's all for it. He's like, I physically can't do it anymore, but I'll absolutely voice it. And just the studio is just kind of picking their underneath their fingernails and it's wasted. Wasted. I feel the same way for House of Thousand Corpses. That movie, when it came out, was like such a awesome boom for horror for me. You had Cabin Fever in theaters from Lionsgate. You
Yep.
had House of Thousand Corpses, and horror, like as we all know, in the '90s was kind of dead. You
Yep.
sure you had all the pretty kids on the poster, and then the killer was in the background. The killer was always shoved to the back. Well, like you and I were monster kids. We want that killer
Yeah.
up front. We don't care about the teenagers,
Yeah.
So when I saw that Rob Zombie was playing this movie and he had Sid Haig in the makeup right on the poster right there, I was like, and it's from this guy, this rock shocker that's like loves horror and does all these monster things. I was like, let's go. And he kept hearing the drama about like, he has to, it was too violent. He had to shop it around and stuff. And I left that theater. I love that movie so friggin' much. But you heard the horror stories that have happened with
Oh,
Rob trying to make that movie that, Universal kicked him out midway through and he lost a lot of footage on the floor. And that's why there's no deleted scenes or anything. But it has shaped that movie and made that movie what it is. It's become his own Texas Chainsaw, even though he borrowed stuff from Texas Chainsaw on that movie. But that's besides the point. It is a perfect film. And then he goes and makes Devil's Rejects, which is almost an even better movie, not so much horror, but very just down dirty Bonnie Clyde Western, what he wanted, which was made him the best filmmaker for that film. And then we get Three from Hell, which was not as good. It was kind of the thing, like you get too much of a good thing. And then of course
yeah.
you take Sid Haig out of the three of them. It's a completely different idea and it doesn't feel as right. So yeah, you're right. It's like those little hard niche things that break apart a project almost make it work. So
My hot take is that Lords of Salem is his masterpiece.
I love Lords of
I
Salem, man.
love Lords of Salem. I saw that in theaters. The theater was empty. There
Yeah,
was like
same.
one other dude, and I was just like, he's got the Italian influence. Like it's not even like he's aping it. He's got it. Like it's
Yeah,
happening. Like this is all coming together, and I'm like, fuck. He's
yeah,
really nailing it, and it's weird and it's creepy. It's
yeah.
atmospheric.
And it didn't feel like anything else he'd done before that. You had
Yeah,
like framing, like all of his framing was very like Kubrick-esque in that movie. And I was like, I
yeah.
love that Rob's trying different shit, man.
Dude, he's an easy guy because listen, we all know how this works. You know, like there was that time that Limp Bizkit was the hottest band in the world.
Right.
And then we kicked them and we punched them and they're a joke. And then
Mhm.
now we're 26 years later. Limp Bizkit's so fucking cool. You know, like
Right.
I work with a lot of young people and they're like, I listen to a lot of new metal, man. I'm like, you do? I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Mm.
They're like, do you like corn? I'm like, yeah, I like corn. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
and I'm like, this is insane because for a long time, like they've become the punchline of the joke until it comes back and it's like, you know, what did David Lynch say? Like your favorite flavor of bubblegum will come back
Come
into
back.
style.
Absolutely.
It ultimately does.
Yeah.
And Zombie's been that poster boy of like, fuck this guy, this hellbilly shit. And you know, I love Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Zombies Halloween 2, I think, is a fucking masterpiece. And
Hmm.
it's the biggest fuck you to the Weinstein brothers. It's
It
basically
is.
like, oh, really? Okay, here's your sequel, dickhead.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah. He really like, and that's the thing. Every like you brought up David Lynch, like how hard it was for him to release Mulholland Drive. They had it in a series and tried to take it back from ABC. And Twin Peaks got shit on. And it's just like literally all these artists are just like, I'm doing my thing. I'm sure you've seen the David Lynch blow up thing when he was making Return to
yeah,
Showtime. He's like, we don't have time to dream. You all keep just rushing me and trying to get me to like that. He's not a like, we have to be on point and be done by this certain time. Like, this is what made Twin Peaks what it was. Let me have these moments where I'm creating and stuff. And it's like, you can't stifle these creators. And that's what we saw through David Lynch's last days. We thought the Zombie when he was making the Halloween remake. And I think that's what we're seeing now with these younger directors coming up and stuff. They're actually giving them the time to like, hey, Backrooms was your idea. Just we want you to do it. And that's huge to let a director just kind of like just do your thing. Like we trust you. Like A24 trusts you to do what you can do. And it proved money. You know what I mean? Like it proved studios when you're trying to like make Rob Zombie, well, we don't want you to do a full prequel. We still got to have Laurie and we still got to have all these other things. Like, that's not what I wrote. And like, well, that's what studio wants. So yeah, like the fact that he could just give him a giant fuck you with part two and it's still
I
being
don't
weird and
I
you
don't
love it.
like to think about it. I don't like listen, there is a haunting reality that Joe Dante right now, Joe fucking Dante can't get a movie made. And to
Insane.
me, that breaks my heart. Even
Yeah.
like he's had a wonderful career, he's a fucking genius, but it's like we know that there will be a Gremlins 3. It will
Mhm.
happen. IP is IP. IP
Right.
lasts forever. And the magic will never run out. But if your audience, like with Master, starts dying off, some of those people didn't get to make it to 2026 to enjoy Eternia.
Right.
Um, Joe Dante, some of these older dudes who, like you and I, we think the bee's knees of them. And it starts becoming this situation. One of my favorite movies is Ed Wood, you know, where Ed
Yeah.
Wood gets Bela Lugosi's and he's like, fucking Bela Lugosi's the coolest thing ever. And he's like,
Yeah.
don't you see this? He's like, treat him like a king. This man is a king. And that's how I
Right.
feel about Joe Dante. I'm
Huge.
like, you should be kissing this motherfucker's feet. I'm like, give him a blank check, whatever he wants, but that's not the industry anymore.
No. Yeah. It seems like, yeah, whenever they hit a peak and yeah, they may have released movies that were straight to DVD back in the day that didn't do so well because that's all they had at the time to try and get projects out there. But you should really, like you said, like, hey, dust off the feet, bring them back and say, hey man, like we know you still have some projects underneath there. Like show us what you can do and we'll throw you some pretty big creatives to help you make it. And yeah, it's a sad world these days with our favorite directors just kind of getting pushed off to the wayside. That's why I was amazed to see Spaceballs. We got to see Mel Brooks do one more shot
It's
at a
insane.
flick. Yeah.
I don't even know if emotionally I'm ready for that.
Same. The fact that we're gonna get it one more Mel Brooks. Is it Mel Brooks or is it a Josh Gad project?
I don't know, but we got Rick Moranis back, and that seems like some sort of miracle.
after getting punched in the face in New York City, I thought the dude would never come back to America. I'm going back to Canada. I'm going to sing country music. Screw you acting. But we did it.
Spaceball again. I've lived long enough now to realize, and this is part of growing up, and this is part of being an adult, is that the cowboy, the good guy, doesn't always get to ride off into the sunset. He doesn't get, he doesn't always get the girl. He doesn't get to ride out to the credits, and even when he does, it's at a great cost, like in the movie Drive, even if you're able to walk away from it all, what did you gain? You walk away a broken man. And that's the reality of being an adult. And like, it sucks, but I guess I'll say what Glorilla says. Let them cook. Let these fucking young guys, like, let them, make video games, do your shit. Because that's what I tell people. Like, procrastination is the death of imagination. Just do it. Like, just fucking do it. Like even right now, young person comes to you and they say, Keenan, I see all the shit you do. And so you're the fucking man. What would you tell a young person? Because I mean, Jesus Christ, like you've got like lifetimes of so many experiences and so much knowledge. What would you tell a young person that like, I'm trying to get into doing this and I want to be a voice. I want to have a voice. What would you say to them?
It's a question I ask a lot of creatives, a lot of comic book artists and writers when I do panels with them, which is very different from doing like the big actors and directors. I always ask them like, what would you say to people that want to get into comic books? I'm sure they get this all the time. How do I break into working for the big two, DC and Marvel or Dark Horse? And they said, now more than ever, you can do everything at your computer. You can start Kickstarter. You can reach out to, if you don't have a lot of money, there's a lot of artists overseas, like on Fiverr and stuff, that'll do a project for very little. So utilize that, you know what I mean? Like work with an artist that, is just trying to make anything, or maybe even at your job, if you work at an AMC theater or whatever, and some guy's just trying to make art, like, hey, let's just do a zine. Remember zines? Just do a zine. And like, you're all sitting up there and you'll be like Glenn Danzig promoting Misfits, and you're stapling stuff late at night, and Jerry only doesn't want to do this, but Glenn knows this is what we have to keep doing to become popular. So zines back then are what Kickstarter and our iPhones are now. If you want to be a director, you want to make movies, the pile is right there in your phone. Get a stabilizer and go out there with your friends and shoot a film. If you want to make a comic, just find an artist that wants to work with you and write a script and get it out there on Kickstarter, and just kind of use every social media platform you can to put your voice out there. Will it work right off the bat? Probably not. You got to do it a couple times. You got to keep, like you said, let it cook. You know what I mean? See the things that don't work, but really reach out to your friends and family and tell them to be honest with you. What didn't you like about this? What you did? I work at a comic book shop, and I see some people turn in some really garbage comic books, and we kind of just look at it and go, all right, we'll put it on the shelf. If it sells, then we'll ask you for some more. And they usually don't. They kind of get the hint of it. But, I'm not going to lie to the kids. Like, hey, your art's, you just keep drawing from life. Don't draw from anime, because that's what's probably hindering you here. And that's the thing. You need criticism, and God, am I the worst with criticism? Like over the years, I've had so many different podcasts and things, and I'm like, am I just talking to myself in like a tube? Like, I don't really have anybody to go off of, but people would keep saying like, nah, keep doing this. You're doing a great job. And over time, I kind of refined everything. And I don't get thousands of views on Twitch. I maybe get 6 to 15 people, but you know what? I have a community called Mutants and Monsters on Discord. Those people show up every single time. And that's how you do it. You start building a community to like 6 to 15 people. And as long as they're devoted and with you, they'll follow your YouTube page. They'll follow your social media page, and you just have to keep with it. And that's like I say, like, you just have to keep at it.
Yeah. Listen, I had a boss back in the day. He said, if you're passionate about something, it's like throwing yourself at a brick wall. And eventually either you break or the brick wall breaks, and you decide. You decide which breaks first. Yeah. And that's the way everything's always been. I mean, I hate to say it, like, yes, things were like lesser technology, but I'm sure like John Travolta was out there hustling his ass to auditions, working some shit job, and then, taking the subway and going, it's the hustle. It's, you can't be afraid. It's crazy because we got to interview the guys from Icons of Fright, and it was cool seeing them, because we don't have those Roger Eberts anymore. We don't have a lot of these people. So there needs to be some kind of historian or at least tour guide. So it's like those guys, yourself, you become a part of that connective tissue that starts to like, these are all the pieces that connect, whether it's theme park rides, whether it's a new video game, whether it's an actor who's fallen out of fashion, hard times, all of these things. Like, we become the people who enable others to tell stories. We tell stories. And I think for me, that's really what it's about. And I know that you've interviewed like a billion people, but I kind of came to the fact, I'm like, why has nobody really interviewed Keenan? I'm like, what does Keenan think? You know, because I'm looking, because it's weird, because sometimes you find like 100 interviews with a dude, and it's like, it's one of those things, at least like you know, I interviewed Steve Barton last year.
Oh, cool. I love Steve.
Yeah, Steve's cool. And he'll fucking answer any question you want. And he's an OG in the game. He knows his shit.
Yeah.
And it's like one of these things where it's like, I'll see other interviews with him, and it's like, I always hope that I can give the person that I'm speaking to with, like you, Keenan, right now, that I can give them a bit of a soapbox, and that you'd be like, well, Jerry doesn't have the numbers. He's not putting up 1 million views per video, but you're not going to forget this interview. I promise you. Like, you know that you came here and that there was no bullshit. There's no ulterior motives. And I think that's important. I think it's important to enable people, especially guests on your show. Just be yourself. Just fucking shoot from the hip. Everybody wants the dirt, but I don't, you know, like, look, I'm not going to compromise myself at this point in time where I'm like, oh, you know, what about this major horror outlet, that major horror outlet? At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. Either call me or don't call me. Because the thing is like, I haven't been invited to the party yet. Chances are I won't ever be invited to the party. And I've kind of almost come to peace with that, where it's like, well, this is what I do, and this is my lane. And sometimes being punk rock means that you don't get to open for you too.
Absolutely. I think
sorry, kids.
Yeah, that's the key right there. Every day is Halloween doesn't boost big numbers. I can tell you that right now. I've had to plead the big websites to even kind of like represent the podcast. And, you know, I've been doing the podcasting thing for 20 years. I think Every Day's Halloween's probably about like 13 years old. But it's just that thing where it's like, hey, man, this is my lane and I enjoy doing it and I enjoy having people on it. And it's one of those weird things, too, where like people might not listen to your podcast, but they'll support you. And just by doing that, it kind of, so it's like, you can't just look at your numbers and end things there. You know what I mean? You just have to keep pushing forward, and that's what really matters. And people can see the passion of what you're doing, and eventually some people will start picking it up. So it's just one of those things, like, just keep doing you. And if it doesn't work out, then you could say you did it. You know what I mean? Keenan,
we did it.
We did it.
We did it. Keenan, is there anything you want to plug? Go ahead, and because I mean, Jesus Christ, that's all I care about. I'm all about the plugs.
The plugs, man. Yeah,
that's it. You got so, like I said, you got like 1 million things going on. I did listen to a bunch of episodes of Every Day is Halloween. Oh, real quick question about that. One more thing.
Sure.
Was that Ministry, or was that the real Ghostbusters episode?
Ministry.
Okay. Just wanted to. Sorry.
I literally have all the real Ghostbuster figures in the package right behind my monitor. I'm like, you're a huge fan. But that Ministry song just always kind of stuck with me, and I used that as my intro. And then, of course, it started biting me in the ass because of, as time went on, the algorithm would read that, hey, is that Ministry? Yeah, your whole episode's taken down on Spotify. And I was like, oh, good thing it's in the intro of my show, so every single episode's getting flagged. So I have to kind of zoom past it real quick when it starts showing up. But yeah, no, that's it.
Because part of me thought it was like the whole Sam Hain thing.
That's my favorite episode. I bought those Mondo figures. I have Sam Hain sitting right over here, man.
Listen, every time Mondo comes out with a new figure, it's just like, all right,
bad day for me.
Avert your eyes. Just go back to doing whatever you were doing.
Yeah, my ass is like, payment plans. Okay, that gets expensive real fast.
No, dude, I live in an apartment in New York, and it's gotten to the point where it's like, you have to start choosing like, okay, what pieces, and I go through this constantly. I'm like, all right, well, if I'm going to buy this piece, it's got to be this and it's got to be that. And it sucks. But
Yeah.
that's the whole thing with physical media. I got physical media coming out of my butt.
Same.
It's insane. So now it's like, it has to be like, okay, it's Boogie Nights on 4K. It's a Steelbook. It's a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie I loved as a kid. Like I have to like justify what it is because I just can't get willy-nilly.
Yeah, it's that Marie Kondo. Does it spark joy? Then keep it. If you hold it and you're just like, then that's the sign to move on because we only have so much space.
Yes. Well, what's worse is people they go through divorces, they go through death, and they of course they come to me and they're like, "Do you want this crap?"
Oh,
and I'm
I
like,
know.
"I really don't need it, but I'll take it."
Yeah, for free. I'm gonna flip it maybe, but yeah, you're like, I really don't have any room. I do not have any more room.
It was one of these things. This guy had a huge collection of laser discs, and I was like, "I'll take Kickboxer.
Yeah.
I'll take Evil Dead."
Right. I'll pick and choose, but I can't take all these.
But everything else, sir, I want you to.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I get that.
So we got the podcast. Every Day is Halloween, which is usually entertaining. And
yes. It's been picked up by Be Afraid Network, which is part of Dread Central. So I'm very excited about that. That was one of those things where, that I really wanted, because Bloody Disgusting was always kind of iffy with me about picking up Every Day's Halloween. They're like, well, you just do the official Bloody Disgusting podcast again. And I was like, what? All right, fine. And I really wanted Every Day's to shine. So the fact that Be Afraid Network's like, hey, we really want to start looking at, who's been doing these podcasts for a long time and who can generate content and stuff like that. So I was like, hey, I got a whole 50 episodes sitting in the can ready to go and I can keep going with these things. So they picked me up. So that's kind of the big thing right now. I just did the first new episode for Be Afraid Network. And the Summerween is going to be coming out, working with an artist right now on that. And I'll be in New Orleans for GalaxyCon out there doing some interviews. I don't really know who I'm interviewing yet, but they have me on the list. So if you're going to go out to GalaxyCon, come by and say hi.
Hey. Listen, Keenan, you got a lot of I was going to say pokers. It doesn't sound right. You got a lot of irons in the fire.
Right. Tendrils in the song.
Yeah. It's a better thing. But if you enjoy the Offering podcast, check out Every Day is Halloween because you'll probably really enjoy it. It's definitely a kid brother sister show. Cousins, there's not much of a divide really. But it's cool that you do it and that you're transparent. Like, this is my life and this is the shit that I do. It's even akin to like the Purple Stuff podcast.
That's the thing. I love those guys. I love the Purple Stuff podcast. And then what they do is so good. Actually, the way I started doing my show is Rue Morgue Radio had a podcast. Yeah. And Tomb Dragomir was the host of that one. And he put kind of like a filter over his voice and he would play clips from The Simpsons and Misfit songs. And I was like, this is the coolest fucking show ever. And then one day they sold Rue Morgue magazine and they got rid of the podcast. And I'm pretty sure they probably got flagged because you can't just play songs that are off the radio on your podcast and stuff. But I was like, fuck it. I'll do it. I don't care. Who am I? Like, for the 7 people that'll be listening to my show, they'll get a cool radio show, songs and stuff. And then I started growing and then the algorithm got horrible. It's like, now I can't play licensed music, which fucking sucks.
No, it happens. It's like, a lot of the stuff the guys Say You Love Satan, those guys were doing was cool. But it ultimately, there were pieces that, like you're playing cool songs and you're playing drops and then everybody gets litigious and everybody's, and look, it's a visual board that you put up. It's this audio visual thing. Yeah. And it's a shame because it's like when I was a kid, like you would listen, we would get college radio, we'd get 90.1 WUSB, which was Stony Brook. And it would be always these like weird goth kids who would be like, we're just going to fucking play this and some old shit from monster movies. And I would like really be into it. And the show would just disappear. It was, it's just vaporware. And if you didn't press, record or you didn't download it, that was it. Yeah. It's lost to time.
Yeah. But I think there's always a way. I think it's really cool that Patreon's still a thing. We all love Joe Bob Briggs in The Last Drive-In. and he can never show a lot of the movies that he wanted to because of copyright and stuff like that. But then they would have the Patreon. If you signed up with the Patreon and you paid a certain fee, they would send you a DVD that was just like all the old TNT Monster Visions on there. And I thought that was so fucking cool. And they would have Monster Night where they'd stream it on the Patreon. So like there's ways around it, you know what I mean? If you just do it in private on like your own like access thing, but like you got to have huge numbers to pull people over to that thing, or else you're just doing it by yourself, which kind of sucks, but there's ways around it.
I think that's what it is. I think even for us in this show, it's kind of like, I need to be amplified. I need to have a bigger platform. I think it's very asymptomatic of the OnlyFans thing, where it's like you've got a WWE wrestler or UFC fighter, and they've got this, like Paige Van Zandt. She's got this huge following, like millions of people from Dubai to Detroit know who she is, and now for $9.99 a month,
right? Yeah.
So it's like. And shade, like no fucking shade.
No,
like
Shannon
get your
Elizabeth,
money, girl.
She made $1 million in a day or something. So
dude,
it's like,
do it. Like, do it. Listen, if you're comfortable with it, you take it as far as you want to. But my other thing, I didn't think the episode would kind of go this way, but porn doesn't feel special anymore. It's kind of like one of those things. It's like it's like when you watch a martial arts movie and at a certain point everybody knows karate, right? Then it's like, does anybody know karate? Because everybody, it's like, oh fuck, now the cab driver's fighting. Oh no, now the old lady, and that's fine if you're doing a Stephen Chow movie. That's like that's cool and funny, but it breaks the inverse of whatever it is.
Oh, and then you had people like Brink Stevens or Lynn Quigley who like you knew them because you knew that they were in softcore or they were in these like certain horror movies that was their genre. You know what I mean? And now that like anybody can do it, it's kind of like, well, then where do these actors or actresses go? That's why you don't hear about them anymore.
Well, I read that Brink Stevens was ahead of her time. She was sending like Polaroids. People would write to her, they'd send her checks or whatever, and she would send back Polaroids.
She knew.
She was ahead of her time, man. Shout out to Brink Stevens.
She was the first OnlyFan.
She was the original. And then Keenan, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for being a part of the offering.
This is great.
Anything else you got, real quick?
I think the comic book, the convention thing I got going on. And then just on the Be Afraid Network, listen to Every Day is Halloween. I'm happy to have a place where they're actually promoting it. So I appreciate Dread Central for doing that.
Yo, shout out to Dread Central. You're a real one for we got Brad back in power.
Yes.
He's over there. I see you, Brad. I see you. I know you see Uncle Jerry. It's the thing is I'm Attitude Era. I don't think any of the major they're not ready yet. They're still in the Shawn Michaels new power generation. They're like, they're not ready for the Sandman yet. But don't worry, your kids are gonna love this.
That's right. Yes.
All right, folks. All's well that ends well. We have come to the end of another show, and I think that I would like to say to my good friend Duncan here. God damn it! I said it again. Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
I'll take it.
It's fine. Listen, when you get that direct-to-video Highlander sequel, they're like, it's the guy from the TV show. I'm like, it's even better. He's younger.
Right.
he's even younger.
They're remaking that too. So
Cavill's in it. We got Cavill, Batista, Russell Crowe.
I'm for that movie. I'm ready.
Dude, I'll be there. And what was crazy about that was we're never going to end the show. I don't give a shit. Producer Pete's like, motherfucker.
Staying up, Pete.
They were like, we tried to figure out what to do with music, and they're like, we're just going to use the same Queen soundtrack.
Man,
and I was
hope.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
1,010%. Yep.
Yeah, like just do it. Like who cares? There are no sacred cows. And I think that I'm not allowed to say that because that might be in some way offensive to people, but they get what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I don't want to be offensive. I just am. Listen, do you know what it is? I wake up every day and I'm fucking Demolition Man. I'm like the guy they froze and just like they let him out.
Yeah, you're just gonna swear at the machine and just get a bunch of toilet paper. I
What
understand.
am I doing with the 3 seashells? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing with these fucking seashells.
None of us know to this day what the 3 shells do.
You know what? It's better left to the imagination.
Facts.
This has been The Offering with me, your host, Jerry Horror. Mostly horror, always genre.
This has been a Sick Boy Wolfgang production. Thank you for listening.
Listen, the reality of it was I knew we would have, like, because I listened to your podcast, and I'm like, I could have this motherfucker on for 6 hours.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We could easily do that, but I had to, like, contextually, like, he has a podcast. We gotta sell the podcast.
Right.
You know, it's fucking, it's insane because yeah. It's all that dirt. It's that dirty dew. Hey Pete, I got that dirty dew.
So good.
Well, do you know I pretty much had to suck off a bum to get the zero sugar flavor.
What?
Yeah, the zero sugar flavor is hard to find, man.